like they had a title.
I guess I'll start. I've been on staff for 10 years. 8 of that has been in Evergreen with Eric. I was on staff in the South Denver area and just knew that wasn't the right area for us, and started interviewing for this brand spanking new area in Evergreen, Colorado. It was just getting off the ground. There was incredible community. Hey, it was incredible community and people there that, gosh, that I had not experienced in my previous area. Had lunch with Eric and Nancy, his wife, and instantly fell in love with these guys, and just was blown away by what this community had and the potential that it had. And so that was 8 years ago, gosh, it was just an incredible place to walk in. You want to pick it up there?
Sure. I came to faith in high school in Young Life, so I have the gratitude that it comes to faith in Young Life. And we were involved in a committee where we lived before, and we came to Evergreen and thought we would join the committee there and see if they could use us to chip in, and Young Life wasn't there. And an interesting part of the story, but about 3 years went by, and Nancy and I were praying in our living room, and it just sort of landed on us that I think we're the ones we've been waiting for. Touch on the slow side, and we had the opportunity to get things going and work with our regional director, guy I got to know then, Cam Tankersley, and we hit it off pretty well. And we started this, and I remember interviewing, we went to lunch and interviewing Andy and Grace, who now is, she's 7 or 8. I mean, it's just like, because she was crawling under our coffee table at that point. We got off to a great start. We had a fabulous first year. Things just mushroomed. I remember saying to Andy, I'm kind of a business and marketing guy. It's nothing like new. New is great, and new doesn't last. New tops out at some point. And we topped out probably after a couple of years. And we went into a really difficult time. And we want to tell you about that.
So I was thinking about it. I forget what the scenario was around it, but I mean, Eric up until a certain point was my biggest fan. I mean, I we were constantly driving places together. We were trying to start up new clubs together. We were trying to, we thought we could change the world. We just were doing it all over the place. My biggest fan, my biggest supporter, and I forget what led to this, but I remember Eric walking in my office. I requested a meeting in my office, which I didn't know at the time. Now I know now. Is like, stuff's getting real when you have a meeting in your office, not in a coffee shop. But essentially, I mean, I was sitting with Eric, and what I remember of the conversation was Eric saying, I think, essentially that you're running the area in the ground, and I'm pulling all of my support. Financially, I'm pulling my support. Volunteer-wise, I'm pulling my support. I'm kind of going off the radar. I can't be around this. Which you can imagine, my biggest fan became my biggest detractor in some ways, and someone who, within a conversation, a relationship had gone away. Probably led for me to one of the more difficult, lonely, stressful, anxious seasons of my life, and for my family's life. And so that was my side of it.
And so, how many committee chairs do we have? Raise your hands high. I don't want to be able to see it. Okay, so I'm committee chair. And here's the dynamic that I saw and the dynamic that I still see. How many area directors we have? Raise your hands high. Okay, staff in general, raise your hand. Everybody, area directors, okay. So here's what I saw. Started this up. I'm a real good startup guy. I've started businesses. I like doing that. I'm not a really good maintenance guy. I'm kind of the guy you want up front end, get things going. I did that, and so it was time to pass this off. And it wasn't going to my satisfaction. I was very unhappy with it. And I assumed a lot of things that today I believe are not true, and it's a reason that I came here today, because I don't know how many of you carry the assumptions that I carry. But what I assumed was, I'm working, Andy's working, I give a lot to get this thing started, a lot of effort. It's time to hand it off. Now I got founder's dilemma. If you've ever founded a company, now it's like, I passed it off to them to run it. I've shown them how to run it. And they're bringing in different ideas that's okay, except for they're wrong. Except for it's not working, and it's not meeting my personal expectations. There's a tremendous amount of sin in this for me. A tremendous amount of sin. Okay, I just want to tell you, I am a wayward sinner. And God has every reason to drop me like a hot rock because of the state of my life and because of the state of my heart. However, the one human dignity that he gives me is that I get to live in his reflected grace and in his grace, and I get to be a child of God, even while I'm a sinner. I am grateful for that. There's a tremendous amount of sin in here for me, but there's a tremendous amount of organizational assumptions that I think are dead wrong. I hire him to do the job. Do the job. Now, you don't have to, as a committee chair, nod, but a bunch of you have that feeling. And if you're disappointed with your area director because they're not doing the job, you go, well, that's only logical. If I hire somebody to move bricks from this side of the room to that side of the room, and I come in and the bricks are mostly still on this side of the room and all the payments been made, pretty simple to me. It's very simple to me. And it was extraordinarily long. I got to know where I did not like him. Today, this is one of my favorite people on the planet. He's one of my best friends. I love him intensely. There is not an area director on the planet that I would rather have. And I sat in an office trying to get him fired. This could not go forward with him in place. Okay? Is this dark enough for you? How much did you like me?
Not very much. You want to talk about the?
Well, I'd like to talk about the absolute bottom.
Yeah.
A decision was made in conjunction with the region that it was a major decision. The details of it are not important. I was not committee chair at that point, but I'm the founder, and by golly, you better come talk to me because I'm a pretty big cheese and I'm pretty important. And nothing should happen without the founder at least weighing in on it. My area director came to me and he said, your input is not welcome. That's my lowest moment in young life. I could not imagine how we had gotten there. Now you can imagine, and you're probably thinking there's probably some behavior on my part that probably deserved that, and you're exactly right. But I didn't care. I started this thing. I had pushed it from infancy, and now I'm being told I have no room in it. I always envisioned it. I'm a big fan of marriage and people not moving in and all that kind of stuff. But I have this image of the girlfriend who comes and stays over and then kind of leaves a sweater and then starts leaving some slacks and then starts filling some drawers, and all of a sudden I just felt like this organization had just moved in. And I couldn't get this organization out if I wanted to. And I was furious. I was furious. All of this apparatus had been put together, and I didn't see enough kids meeting Jesus. I mean, that was the bottom line to it. It wasn't my issues with Andy per se. I just wasn't seeing enough kids meeting Jesus. That really mattered to me. So I withdrew. I just withdrew. I didn't see anywhere that it could go. That was the bottom of it. I went to become a regional board chairman, and I withdrew from Evergreen. I wasn't welcome there, and I got a chance to look at a lot of areas, and I got a chance to look at a lot of people, and nothing was working real well. See a committee here, a relationship there between an area director and a committee chair, but I saw a lot of tension. And more than anything, I saw lonesomeness in the staff. And I believe that we have an epidemic of lonesomeness. I believe that it is broadly seen to be there, and still it is unrecognized. We don't talk about it. And from my role as a regional board chairman, I vowed then, and I vow to this day, for the rest of my life, I'm gonna work to stamp out lonesomeness on the part of our beloved staff. I love our staff so much. I love what they do. And I'm gonna have some tough words for you in a while. But the lonesomeness was killing my dear friend. And I was a big part of causing it. And that's my shame. That's really my shame. But here's what I see happens. You got a bunch of adults in the community that they're worried about their kids' salvation. And so, like me, from a Young Life ago, you invite Young Life in. And we're scared of high school kids. We're supposed to be. Right? We're scared of high school kids. And here comes somebody who ostensibly is not afraid of high school kids. And so we go, we'll make you a deal, we'll give you a job and we'll pay you some money, and you'll take care of our high school kids, right? And they go, of course. Will you come save our children? What do you say? Sure. And can you do it? Yeah. I mean, you lie to me. Tell me the lie to me you told me the first night. You can save our children. You can save them all.
Yeah. 25-year-old me was pretty confident.
Yeah, right, okay? Here we got a young man who is called into ministry, and all he wants to do is save our children. It's all he wants to do. And we are so scared of kids, we buy his lies. Now, we have I'll bet you a bunch of business people in here have hired a bunch of 25-year-olds. You would never do that. You would never put a 25-year-old out there and say, good, I think we got a contract here. You would always develop them. You just like a good mom or dad, you just drop stuff out in front of their headlights and they go, oh, look what I found, right? You know how to do this, and we don't do it. I left him alone. I potted plant, shoved him in the corner, shut off the lights, and quit watering him. Then got mad at him for what a bad plant I thought he was. That came about because our organization sends our young people there with all of this brave confidence. And we buy it. And we let it sit there. If you are blaming anybody in your area, count it as an incredible blessing. Look at it and see why, not see who. Because there is an unholy alliance between the community and Young Life that allows us, and hear me clearly, to outsource the salvation of our children to an organization. That's not what we're here for in our communities. And particularly when you give it to somebody who wants for all the world to please you. And just at that point in life doesn't have what it takes. And we let them do that. And I had a lonesome guy. Tell me about being lonesome.
I mean, a snapshot. I mean, I don't think I've ever had a time where and again, I hope you hear that I wasn't faultless in this whole thing. We'll talk about that in a little bit and how we manage our relationship now. However, I mean, there was times for me, like when this thing really hit the bottom, where I wasn't able to get out of bed. I mean, where there was such anxiety and such worry and such, such fear, and just the inability to solve this massive conflict that was just epidemic in everything we did. It was just, it was this very eerie, plaguing thing on both myself and my family, and just we felt really stuck. I want to turn a corner into when things started getting better. Is that okay? Can I do that?
I think they're ready for this.
So for me, in my story, you guys they were coming up.
I'm gonna send something to Lily here.
So I remember it vividly. I think that something else had happened, and I think I'd known and I'd felt that I'd hurt Eric again, and it was very fresh, and I felt very disappointed in myself about it. And I remember I was mopping my floor. My kids were going to sleep. I was mopping my floor, and I was having this very vivid conversation in my mind with Eric that, and obviously he wasn't in the room. A conversation in my head that was filled with assumptions, filled with assumed motivations, just a really unhealthy and, dare I say, even like demonic conversation that I was having. And I just clearly, I remember hearing, I feel like it was the voice of the Lord that said, like, this is not, you're not having a conversation with Eric. And I just asked the Lord, like, just to free me from this weight. And I remember, I think it was that night, I dropped the mop, went in and sat. I wasn't going to the bathroom, but I was sitting on the toilet in my bathroom, and I just called Eric and I think I left a voicemail and said, I'm sorry. And I missed his phone call later, but Eric had stopped on his way back from something and desperately just wanted to come to my house and give me a hug. We ended up connecting, I think later that week, just having a conversation where I just had a chance to be like, Eric, I've had a lot of conversations with you where I thought that you were doing this, X, Y, Z, and I realized that those are not conversations that we ever had. And so I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for allowing for these stories and these movies in my mind to play out for so long, and really just ask for forgiveness. Which I feel like that conversation, you can kind of voice your side of that time, because that was, we really feel like the Lord did a miracle through that conversation of just we had nothing to lose. We just put everything on the table, full vulgarity, full just everything's there. And the Lord used that time to heal us and to bring us to something really incredible.
So, I'm brokenhearted, Andy's brokenhearted, kids are not meeting Jesus, this whole thing is off in the ditch. Got one wheel on the side of the road, two wheels, and all of a sudden this whole thing is just a complete rollover into the ditch. It's just, everything that I wanted wasn't happening, everything that he wanted wasn't happening. And we start looking, and Lily, you get ready, said, don't put that up yet if you would, but hold on a second. We started thinking our way through this, and I wondered how this thing got so out of round. It wasn't personal. It didn't feel personal. I'm mad at him, and I'm blaming him, but I'm not really mad at him. I'm upset that the whole thing is not working. And I go back to this point, I go, what I've done is withdrawn. I went into this because of the kids in Intermountain Young Life. Because I wanted more of them to meet Jesus like I got to. I wanted them to know who Jesus was, what he did for them, and give them a chance to respond. And when I was told that my input wasn't welcome, I don't know, you feel the fire in me, that probably didn't go down that well. Okay? I mean, it just didn't go down very well. And I said, you know what? Somehow, our kids in our town have become Young Life's kids. They're not my kids. I go, baloney, I think is what I said. Something like baloney.
Sounds like you.
Sounds like baloney. These are our kids. And this is our town. And we made the mistake because we thought it could work, that we could outsource that to an organization. Meanwhile, I've got somebody who's lonesome, not getting enough support, and I go, this is all wrong. The Lord has redeemed this thing in the most amazing way. Andy and I don't believe as human beings could have gotten back together. I don't think it could have happened. I love this. I think it's a sign of something. I don't think it could have happened. I had it come over me that I was not, we use the word partnering. And we're gonna dig into some terms today, and we wanna take these terms apart and we wanna build them back up. We hope in a way that you will find new, fresh, and meaningful.